So let's take some of these review questions. Most of you guys have been working very well. Some just started to work very well. Okay. So negative 11, it's a negative number. So it's an integer. But remember that little diagram with the circles? Integers are also within rational numbers. So if it's an integer, it has to be also rational. This number that goes on forever, a number that doesn't end and doesn't repeat, it's an irrational number. This one, the decimal ends, so it's a rational. And then root 36, just because it's a square root doesn't mean that it's irrational. Square root 36 is just 6. So 6 is a counting number, so it's natural. Since it's natural, that means it has to be also a whole number. It has to also be an integer. It has to also be a rational number. Okay? And then negative 15 over 3 is the same as negative 5, so which is an integer and a rational. Rational, irrational, it could be either or only, so it can no number are both. All of these are also what type of number? All of these, Alex? Real numbers, right? So all of these are also real numbers. So I could have had one more row right here to trick you guys if I wanted to trick you guys, okay? So all of these are also real. These ones, I have to locate it on a number line. So on your calculator, that's why you need a calculator for Tuesday. Negative root 5 would just be negative, and then the square root button, 5. And you'll get that as negative 2.2. So that means it's a number between negative 2 and negative 3. Just put a dot there to show that. 2 and 2/3 on your calculator. Change that to a decimal, but you cannot do 2 and 2/3 like this. This will make it look like 22 divided by 3. We don't want that. So 2 different ways you could do it. One, you can do the 2/3. So 2 divided by 3 is 0.6, and then add the 2 on. So 2.6. Another way you could do it, change this to an improper fraction. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. So 8 over 3, 8 divided by 3. And you'll get the 2.6. Okay? So I think the easier way is probably to change it to an improper fraction, and then you can do it on your calculator. This one, some of you were asking about this. These are negative numbers. So when they're negative, the bigger the number, the smaller it is because it's negative. Okay, so in this case, you can see that 5.7 is the biggest of all of them. So negative 5.7 is the smallest, and then negative 5.07, and so forth. Same thing right here. I have a mix of decimals and fractions. So you could do negative 11 divided by 3. That will give you negative 3.66666, which means it's the smallest. Okay? Same thing for these. Change it to a decimal by dividing, and you'll get your answer. Inequalities. You will see that on the test. Comparing two sides, which side is bigger, which side is smaller. So 7 over 40 is 7 divided by 40, which is 0.175, which means this is bigger than this. Okay. When you divide those, you'll see that it's equal, and then that is greater. Hey, last few days ago, we talked about quotient of two integers. What's another word for quotient of two integers? What does that mean? Alan? Fraction, that's it. Okay, so when you see this on the test, it just means write it as a fraction. So 0.17 is the same as 17 over 100. 2 decimal places, 2 zeros. Okay, this one is a tricky one. Negative 0.5, that line on top means negative 0.5555555. So this is not 5 over 10. 5 over 10 is just 0.5. If you want a repeating decimal, you can put it over 9. 9, 90, 900. That will always give you the repeating decimal that you want. And then here, you just have to change it to an improper fraction to get the integers. So fraction of two integers, which is -5/3. Sure. Yeah. And remember, I did record this. So if anytime you missed anything, just play that YouTube video. And while you play that YouTube video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. Okay. On to the back side, I'm not going to do every single question, but I do want to get you guys started on these. So in case you run into any problems over the weekend doing these, you know what to do. Okay, so for 1A, you're adding. So first step, change it to an improper fraction. Change it to an improper fraction. Since you're adding, you need a lowest common denominator. So in this case, between 3 and 2, you get 6. 3 times 2 gives you 6. So 5 times 2 gives you the 10. 2 times 3 gives you 6. So 19 times 3 gives you 57. Once I have the lowest common denominator, I keep that denominator and I only add or subtract the top. So on the top, I get 67/6. And then long division to change it back to a mixed number, and I'll get 11 and 1/6. On the test, a question like this may be worth 2 marks. 1 mark for the final answer, correct final answer, and 1 mark for showing a step in between. So the step that I want, I don't need these arrows and stuff. I want to see this, the common denominator step. Okay, I don't even need to see this long division. Okay, so if on the test you just show me this step and this step, that's fine. Okay, number 2, some of you were asking about this question. Okay, number 2, if you read the question carefully, it says you're cutting this much from here. Okay, so that means I'm using the big number, subtract the smaller number. And then if that much is wasted, that also means subtract. So this, subtract this, subtract this. So just like the question that we took up earlier, is something like this. So change it to improper fraction, improper fraction, improper fraction. And then lowest common denominator between the 3 is 16. So when you multiply, 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 you'll get those numerators. And then when you subtract then your numerators, 728 minus 142 minus 1, you'll get 585. Right? Long division, figure out what it is in mixed number form. Don't forget units, because it's a word problem. Okay. Number 4, again, I'm just picking and choosing questions so that in case you get stuck, you can refer to this YouTube video. So number 3, same idea as number 2. So you should be able to do that. For C, for example, 1 2/3 divided by 4 5/6. When you divide, first step, change it to an improper fraction. Keep, change, and flip. So keep the first fraction, change the sign, flip the second fraction, and then once you have this set up, you're just multiplying the numerator with the numerator, denominator with the denominator. So for this, 30/87, how do I change this to a mixed number form? Can I do long division and change this to mixed number? No, why not?
Because the denominator is greater than the numerator.
Yeah, so it's not an improper fraction. It's just a regular fraction. So when it's a regular fraction, that's your answer. You cannot change it. So don't do 30. How many times does 30 go into 87? You would have changed the whole answer. So that's your final answer. Just leave it like that. Number 5, when it says square, square means just times it by itself twice. So this and this. change it to an improper fraction, and then you just multiply. Number 7, where it asks you for perimeter and area. Since this is like kind of like the third or fourth time you've seen a question like this, maybe hint, hint, you might see a question like this on the test too. Okay, so make sure you can do those. I want you guys to try it first, and then on Monday we'll take up a question. We'll take up this question in class. Okay. Number 9. Number 9, BETMAS. So BETMAS means I do brackets first. So this bracket, negative 16 plus 4, that gives you negative 12. This bracket right here is just a negative number, so no math involved. Okay, and then there's no exponents. So next is division. So negative 12 divided by 2 gives you negative 6. 8 divided by negative 8 gives you negative 1. So looking at this, what does that line in between mean? This line in between, yep. Divide. So does that mean I should divide the negative 6 with the negative 1 first? No, because it's part of a fraction. It's like there's a bracket around your denominator. You have to finish up your numerator and finish up your denominator before you divide. So in this case, negative 1 plus 4 gives you 3. So when you divide it, you get your answer, negative 2. Don't just leave it like this on the test. It's not reduced. So make sure if it's divisible, you have to divide it. Okay. Okay, last one. Last one, this. Yx squared plus xy, and x is negative 4, y is 5. So subbing it in. When you sub in a value, what do you need? When you do substitution, what do you need around that number? Brackets, 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 brackets. Okay, so make sure if you're substituting 5 for y, put that in bracket. If you're substituting the negative 4 for x, put that in brackets. Okay? Everything else, you have to copy it straight down. So the square and the plus sign, you have to copy it straight down. So then looking at this, I know that I should do exponents first. What's negative 4 in brackets square? Positive 16 or negative 16? Who says it's negative 16? Who says it's positive 16? Good, I have 5 people in the class. Positive 16. Okay, because the negative is inside the bracket. So 5 times 16, and then negative 4 times 5. You get the 80 and the negative 20. When you have two signs side by side, a positive and a negative makes a negative. So when you subtract, your final answer here is 60. Okay. The rest of it you should be able to do. These ones are similar to the ones you guys did on the front page, inequalities, and so forth. Again, I do want you guys to try all of these. We'll take up more of these on Monday. I am gonna do a homework check on Monday, and I want to see your work. Some of you guys did not show your work. Alright, so make sure if I don't see you show your work, doesn't count. And to help you guys to make sure you guys don't get stuck, when you go to our homepage, go to our homepage. Alright, click on content, chapter 1, and when you click on chapter 1 review right here, what do you see? Let me zoom it in. Alright, you see this review? These were the questions. Guess what's on page 3? Answers. Okay, so answers and answers. That's why I say you need to show your work. I don't want to see my answers just copied on your homework. Right? Show your work. copying my answers doesn't give you a credit. You trying the questions, doing it, understanding it, that's what gets you the credit. All right. I gave you guys the answer so that you can check if you're on track. Okay. Again, I do want you guys to finish all 25 questions. You can do it. You guys got, I think, at least a third of it done today. So keep working on it. We'll take up more of this on Monday.